You're listening to Melissa Gorga on Display with me, Melissa Gorga, on Podcast One.
Dad deserves double the thanks this year, so this Father's Day, give him the power tool system that has everything for every job. The Ryobi One Plus tool system now on special buy. Over 260 Ryobi tools powered by one interchangeable 18-volt battery. And for a limited time, when you make a qualifying Ryobi purchase, you get one select tool or battery free. Feels like Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offer valid through July 31st, 2022. Valid at participating stores and online. Limit 1 per transaction.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
Like, it's going to sound bad, but when you're on Beverly Hills and you're wearing your Forever 21 dress and somebody else is wearing full Louis Vuitton head to toe, you feel it.
Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Melissa Gorga on Display. You guys know I get so excited when I have housewives because you guys all love them so much. And, I just have to give them all the credit for, making my career, shall I say that, to Bravo. But this one I'm excited about. You've seen her on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and now she co-hosts her very own successful podcast, Two Teas in a Pod, with Tamra, who I love so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Teddi Mellencamp.
Hi, how's it going? Are you recovered?
Girl. I'm recovered. It was so good seeing you. I feel like we were all just at the, for my listeners, we were all just at the MTV movie and TV Awards unscripted, but I feel like we all didn't get to talk that much. Like Beverly Hills.
Because it was small little tables. Normally it's like bigger tables, I feel like, but this time it was like 4 or 5 people per table.
I agree. Yes. And I saw that you guys were all kind of like split up as well, right? You guys weren't all at the same table because there's so many of you guys.
And then every time somebody would stand up, they'd bring a seat filler in. So then I'd be like, do we know this person? And then it was...
Wait, do you want to hear the funniest story about a seat filler? So I got up with Teresa to go present, and I guess a couple seat fillers came to my table, and my husband had no idea what a seat filler was. Like, he didn't even understand. Joe didn't even know what this guy was doing sitting next to him. And Joe's like, I don't know. Some guy sat here for a while. I was talking to him and I don't know who he was. Melissa, what do you think he was? What show do you think he's on? I was like, Joe, that's called a seat filler, doll. He's like, a what? And I'm like, seat filler. Like when you get up so that on TV, it doesn't look like an empty place. Like they fill your seat. He's like, I've never heard of such a thing in my life. I'm like, oh.
But then did he all just think we were also like lunatics? Because all of a sudden we'd all stand up and start like dancing because the camera guy would come over and he'd be like, all right, act excited.
Like be excited. Like, no, he legit had no idea. I mean, in his defense, I mean, we've been to the VMAs, we've done things before.
Right.
Like, why is he so confused? He just had a full-blown conversation with this guy. I guess the guy just assumed that Joe would know he's damn seat filler. Anyway, that is just brings me to that. I giggled at him and me and my friends actually laughed at Joe for like 20 minutes over that. We were just like, it was hysterical. But anyway, it was so good to see all of you guys there. And I have to say, I do love seeing you like with the cast, even Tamra, as I know you guys have like this podcast. Do you feel different when you're like around the girls, like around the ladies, because you're no longer on the show?
Well, I think last year, if this would have been the same circumstance, it would have felt weird to me because there's that first year that you're not on that you feel like this sadness, even though a part of it is like, you're very grateful for it. You just have that sad, you'll see a picture, it'll make you feel sad or whatever it is. I don't know if sad's the right word. Maybe it's FOMO or
right.
There's just something. But now, kind of once I made the decision, like when even this season, when I appeared on it, I wasn't mic'd. I was working for extra. Like I was like, now that I've separated from it and now it's 2 T's in a pod and that's my focus. I can just look at them like my friends. They don't have to be my friends just from the show. And I think that's what's different about Jersey or Beverly Hills is like, you have real relationships within these shows where some of them there isn't.
Correct. Some of them there's not. They're literally just cast on. They work with them, they play with them, and then when they move on, they move on, you know, and it's like it's over and done. And I feel like you do have tight relationships with the show. But before even getting into that, first of all, I want to tell you your dress that you wore, that pink dress, Bronx and Bongo, correct?
Right.
I almost wore the dress. I don't know. It was in my home. I tried it on. I'm good friends with the designer, Natalie. I tried it on. It made me feel boxy. Like it wasn't hugging me correctly, but I loved the color. I get to the red carpet. You happen to be like a couple people in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God I didn't choose that dress because I almost had the exact same dress as you. I was dying.
Well, did you see all the heat I got from that dress?
Wait, so what happened? You posted a picture and what social media is being rude to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, and now it's actually fine. But you know, when you're on the red carpet and they're like, give us the look back shot or whatever it is.
Right. Yes.
And so you're like, look back. And so there was a picture and, you know, I have cellulite on the back of my legs. I knew that before I left. Like, it is what it is.
As we all do, as most of us do.
And, I mean, you know, I had the choice. I could have gone on the Face app or use Facetune and make it all smoothed out or do whatever, but I didn't. And people started messaging me, you know, why would you do that? Why would you wear a dress that showed your cellulite? 2, you know, I think it's inappropriate that you did that. 3, you have children. 4, like, aren't you embarrassed to show your, you know, there's all kinds of things. And for me, it was like, I laugh at the ones where the comments are like, you look like you're auditioning for Dancing with the Stars. Like, I think that's hilarious. I kind of did. Like,
yeah, but that's the vibe of this dress. It's a fun dress. I almost wore the damn dress. It's a fringy, fun, like that's to me, if I'm being, look what I wore. I wore bright yellow because to me, MTV Awards, it's not gowns. It's like the bright, vibrant, young, fun.
Go have fun in something wouldn't normally wear. Like, yeah, I'm not going to wear that to my daughter's piano recital, but at the MT, like I wanted to go and have fun, but I pretty much, I said something about it. And then ultimately people really came out. Thank you for showing that. Thank you for saying that because,
listen,
you know,
I salute you for that. Come on, we can't fix every little piece of our bodies. I have cellulite. I think most women have cellulite. Like it's just a thing. I mean, I'm not saying everyone, but like, how could you, I mean, you should be, if anything, I would think you'd be praised for showing the picture with cellulite because it shows that you're like, yes, I'm human. I'm a woman. I have some cellulite. I still look amazing. I mean, you looked amazing in that dress. Your hair, by the way, short. And this is your thing. Like, don't ever let me see these long, I'm so over the tacky long extensions. And I don't know if it's because everyone on my show loves them so much.
Oh, I loved me some long, ridiculous extensions with tracks always showing and a producer never telling me.
And the producer doesn't tell you that it's like sticking out. Like, I'm so over them. I keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter until I just like cut it off. I'm trying to get there. But I love your hair short like this. Let me just start by saying that you look so young and fresh and it just looks like clean and different, right?
It's easy. I so many years of extensions. I was just like, I need a break. I need to just see how this goes and you know what, have a little fun with it. And so far so good, but come fall, like you see me again and I have hair, you know, down past my hip. I did what I could
forever. Here's the thing. I like the extensions for the ponies. So I love a long pony and like, but other than that, like short and sweet, I just think your hair looks great. So, and so people are now applauding you, I'm sure, for showing the cellulite. I mean, that's, you could have, I'm sure you saw whatever it is they're seeing and you chose not to perfect it or filter it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think ultimately once I said something, then everybody's like, oh, thank you for saying something. But what I was saying, now I'm getting messages. I wish you wouldn't have said any, like you're feeding the haters or you're feeding the trolls whenever you make a comment like that. And truthfully, it's For me, it's not about that. Yes, I probably, if somebody says something about my kids or things like that, that's where I either like block or do whatever. But if I'm noticing a trend in my DMs, which I look at way more now because I need to for the podcast, for my business, all those types of things, and it's multiple people saying the same thing, then I will address it in a public, like stagnant post. And that's not because I'm feeding the haters. It's because I know this is obviously something we need to talk about. Because if this is so upsetting to you that you're seeing my cellulite, this needs to be a bigger conversation.
Yeah. Well, that just goes into like bullying online. And I think as housewives, we experience probably, I mean, I don't want to discredit the Kardashians or anything because I know they get it too, but like housewives really get a lot of opinions on our social media. I mean, I know, it's never easy. We get good, we get bad, but we get it. Like everything. The Bravo fans are like no other. So you're big on body positivity, mental health, and physical health. Tell me about this accountability program that you've had for a few years now, because this is not something new, right?
So I've been doing All In for 7 years. It's, changed my life. It's been the only thing that's held me accountable to staying true to taking care of my mental and physical self and all of that. And I mean, we've changed over 20,000 lives at this point. But I think what people have a hard time understanding is when you talk about health and fitness, they think that means that you fit in this little box. And that's not what it is. And it's not what it is for every single person. It's different. Maybe it's that you want to start walking daily and getting some fresh air and moving your body and, eating a little healthier because you're at a job that you feel you're stuck at, or you're in an abusive marriage that you feel like you're lost, whatever it is. But when you start taking care of yourself, ultimately you build that confidence in yourself to make changes within your life. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. And, yes, I used to weigh over 200 pounds. I've lost and gained throughout my life. But this accountability, which I've been doing for, since, for over 7 years is, the only thing that's ever worked for me, because now I'm not just accountable to myself.
So you had this company that you work with and that you do. This was before Housewives.
And it was my company. When I first started Housewives, I had 40 clients of my own and one assistant. Then I started Housewives, and everybody had said, I want you to grow. I want you to do whatever. And it wasn't even a business when I first started. I had just started an Instagram account. It was not a good name. It was LA Workout Junkie. And I said, I was in a really dark place in my marriage. I, had postpartum severe anxiety and depression after my son. I had miscarriages prior. And instead of losing weight after having my son, I was gaining weight. And then I was feeling more and more alone, looking to my husband to validate me, which is like, it's impossible. You have to be able to validate yourself. And I was just seeing this vicious cycle. And then I became a misery loves company person with my like other mom friends, or we'd all just vent. And I was just really unhappy. And then one day I just said, hey, I'm changing my life today, and follow along if you're interested. And this was all before Housewives, and people started following. I mean, not like now, but back then when you get 10,000 followers, you're like, whoa.
Well, when you're just out of nowhere and you get all these followers, that's a thing. 10,000 is a lot of followers if you're not on a TV platform.
If you're not on a TV platform, and people really, because they wanted to see if I could succeed or if I was going to fail. And then what ended up happening was I used Instagram to start holding me accountable. And I did that for a year straight, never made $1. It wasn't about anything but changing my life. And yes, people saw a huge physical transformation, but more so they saw a difference in me as a human being. And then I started, developing, people were saying, I want to do that, but I don't want to do it on Instagram. And so I started holding people accountable. I started Housewives probably a year after that. And I had a small business. My husband, is a big, entrepreneur type guy. And he kept saying, grow. I'm like, listen, I'm at a place where I'm fine. Like I have 40 clients. I don't need to ask you for money. Like I feel good. And then my first day on Housewives, the amount of emails that you get through my website was absolutely insane. And I had the moment where I had companies reaching out to me saying, we want to buy you. We want to let's blow this out. Let's get thousands of coaches. And I was like, absolutely not. Because
you wanted to do it personally.
I said, I will do it personally, and I will only promote from within. So every single coach that I have within the company is somebody who's changed their life through the program.
Wow.
And so that way.
So they had to work through you essentially to become a coach. They had to go through the program.
They had to go through the program, but for whatever their personal reasons were. It doesn't have to be the same reason as myself. It could be anything. Like I don't have the best relationship with money, and I don't know how to shop on a budget. And we're going to help you do that. And then, whatever it is, or I have postpartum, or I just got a divorce and I'm a single mom and I don't know how to take care of myself and also take care of my baby. And I feel alone and I want support. But also it's easy to tell, like, let's say you and I are best friends. It's easy to tell you I'm going to do something and then not do it. When it comes to me, you're not going to like, but if you have skin in the game and you're paying for it, it's very hard not to be accountable. So that's why it works for so many people.
Summer doesn't last forever. So why spend more time than you need to on meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking? With Splendid Spoon, you can make more time to enjoy the season and feel great with plant-based meals that require no prep time. Splendid Spoon sends delicious plant-based ready-to-eat meals and snacks right to your door. And did you know that eating plant-based food can come with a wealth of benefits like improved energy, sleep, digestion, and complexion? Splendid Spoon has plenty of smoothies, grain bowls, soups, and noodle bowls for you to discover. And with over 50 choices and a constantly rotating menu, there are always new dishes to try. They have the roasted cauliflower grain bowl that is absolutely delicious. And if you're more on the soup side like me, the butternut squash ratatouille soup will really hit the spot. Splendid Spoon fits into any schedule, and there's a meal plan for everyone. And every single meal plan is customizable, so you get what you want every time. Eat well and enjoy more of your summer with Splendid Spoon. Get started today and save on an entire week of ready-made plant-based meals. Just go to splendidspoon.com/Melissa for $50 off your first box when you subscribe. That's $50 off at splendidspoon.com/Melissa. Have you ever had one of those moments when you realize it's time to find a new place? At apartments.com, they call it an out-of-apartment experience. Maybe you're lugging the trash down a 6th-floor walk-up and it bursts open right as you reach the dumpster. Or it could strike the second you realize the change machine at the laundromat is broken. Or maybe it hits when you find some life-altering news, like finding out you're going to be a parent. The first thing to do after an out-of-apartment experience is start your search for a new place on apartments.com. They've helped millions of renters find their perfect place to live, whether it's an apartment, a townhome, condo, or even a house. And with their 3D virtual tours, you can scour every inch of a listing because sometimes 2 dimensions are just not enough. The features don't end there. Apartments.com also has powerful search tools that will help you find a place that meets all of your requirements. So when you're having one of those moments, take a moment and check out apartments.com, the place to find a place. Well, accountability is huge. And I also think of accountability when it just comes to housewives. I mean, it's like, that is where you're like sitting there really having everyone needs to be accountable for what they said, what they did, what happened in their past at this, whatever it may be. Like the word accountability just crosses with housewives crazy. So I'm sure all of the skills that you had with that really like trickled in to your role on the housewives as well.
Well, I mean, I think it trickled into the way, like some ways good, some ways bad. Like I would always have to say, they didn't show it as much as they actually said it, but they'd be like, all right, Miss Accountable. And I'd be like, listen, I'm accountable to like, I'm going on a walk and I'm not accountable to all of these bad decisions that we sometimes make on the show for everybody else to stir the shit or whatever it is that we're doing. So, I mean, I think ultimately there are parts that people like to misconstrue. Like I'm not in accountability for everybody's bad decisions that they've made, but I can say that I did a lot of things wrong on that show and I did take accountability for them always. So
how many seasons did you actually film the show?
I filmed the show for 3 years.
3 years. And what do you think ultimately was like the end of it? What do you think caused them to tell you had to go?
Well, I think my very first season, I started out, I'm just going to be blunt with you. I'm going to be completely honest.
I mean, hello, you can be so blunt.
I didn't have much money. my husband had a lot of money, but I've always not been that person that's been comfortable to like, I used to, ride horses for a living. And then I didn't have a ton of money. I was making enough money to like support myself, but I dressed different. I did everything differently. I couldn't get glammed, none of that stuff, because you know how much you get paid your first season as a housewife?
Zero.
Like barely anything.
I'm just going to say zero, because after you pay for your first outfit and your first round of hair and makeup, you're at zero.
Yeah. So there ultimately you saw a version of me, not any different than I am now, but somebody that, I didn't grow, even though my dad had money, it wasn't like he gave me money or anything like that.
Well, do you know, and I can't lie to you if I'm being completely blunt, the first thing, which is probably terrible, that popped in my mind when you said money, I'm like, well, where's Jaddy at? And like, right. And that terrible. I admit that's a terrible thought to think, but you admit it, you automatically go to like, okay, where is John Mellencamp at during this time? And like, would that be something that he would support you to be like, I want you to do this. Here's your hair and makeup money. Or
never. Are you kidding? The only thing my dad will pay for is us to fly home to see him on the holidays. If we're like, like if we don't want
like, he's like, I will spend money to see you and to spend time with you.
But also not your significant others. They can pay for themselves. Like that.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Quick side to the left. Speaking of your dad.
Yes.
How did he enjoy watching you on the show? Or was he like, what are you doing on this crazy show? Or what did he feel about the show?
The only thing he really got annoyed with me about is if I would cry. Because like in our family, he is not like cry. He does not do well with crying. Like unless something really terrible happens, like there's a death. Right. Like there's not like crying, like you're not having an argument and then you cry. And he could not understand my first season. Like I think Erica said something to me and my eyes, like I didn't know how to handle it. And he's like, that's not who you are. I've never known you to cry like that. Like what is happening? And I'm like, I think it's the pressure of the cameras. There's something
it brings out every emotion that you never even knew you had when it's live on TV. Cause it's just like you're doing it in front of,
and then you can feel the heat of the camera get close to you. And then you're like, oh, is this am I going to cry right now? And then one girl will look at you and be like, you're all right. And then you're like,
so ultimately he didn't want you to break down on TV. He was fine with it. He just didn't want you to, because he probably couldn't watch you cry. He was probably like upset.
It made
looking
him sad.
At you.
And then he was also he was like, he's the kind, he's like, what do you take
like,
that girl down? What do you what do you mean you're sitting back crying and walking out? That's not who you are. I fight back,
Right. Like, he was like, no, use your words.
So my first season, you see a very, like the clothes, like Laura, who did your hair the other night.
Yes.
Like her outfit that I wore to Vegas, that was hers that I borrowed because I didn't know what to wear to Vegas on a girl's
She's like
trip.
that. She would literally take her outfit off her body and hand it to you. That's right. Laura.
So like that was who I was season one. And it was really just me getting to know everybody. And I formed really close relationships, with a couple of the women, especially Kyle, as you know. But then people would started to see me metamorphose, which wasn't necessarily me changing. It was just, I'm on a show where everybody is glammed almost every day. I couldn't afford it my first season. I wasn't buying as expensive clothes. Now I'm making more money. I'm doing paid posts. I'm doing these things.
Right.
And now I can't, my business has grown. Now, I want to go and sit at dinner and not be worried. Like, it's going to sound bad, but when you're on Beverly Hills and you're wearing your Forever 21 dress and somebody else is wearing full Louis Vuitton head to toe, you feel it.
Of course you do. I get it. Listen, and especially with the ladies Dorit is in full blown, like head to toe Versace one day, Fendi the next day. I mean, between her and Erica, it's like, it's insane that they're wearing $10,000 worth of clothing. Sorry, my dog's barking because I'm home today instead of my studio. They're literally, they're decked out, and usually it's got to be a minimum of $10,000 between the bag, the shoes, the shirt. The shirts are $4,000. I mean, come on,
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
So it wasn't just that, but so it was like, so people loved me in my first season because I was relatable or whatever it was. But you also saw my kids, my family, my life, my business, everything. Cut to second season, I start to have an issue with Lisa Vanderpump, and then from that moment on, you're seeing an inflated version of me. All of a sudden I'm wearing makeup. I have extensions, whatever it is. And I'm fighting with an OG of the show. And it's
like, whoa, that's
Yeah. And then
they want to look at you like, well, who are you? Like, who is this now with this makeup and this hair? And you want to fight with Lisa Vanderpump? Like, get the fuck out of here is basically what they want to say at that point. Because the fans are like, they would something about Lisa Vanderpump. She could do no wrong at the time on that show. And it's definitely her accent. I don't care what anyone says. She can call you a see you next Tuesday. But when she says it in her accent with her puppy on her arm, she's just forgivable for everything. I always remember saying that, like, Lisa Vanderpump can literally say anything 5 years ago on reality TV, the worst of the worst of the worst. And you're just like, oh, that was cute.
You're like, ha ha ha. It's a British humor or whatever it was. But I think ultimately the fact that she never showed up to that reunion, and many housewives prior to me tried to expose the things that she had done. And it was me that it ultimately happened with. And then by the time we were at my third season, I mean, you wouldn't have even known I was pregnant. They showed nothing of my personal life. Everything was about myself and Denise. And then I think it's hard to relate to people anymore.
Right. And it happens. And I feel like your show or Beverly Hills particularly, they recast a lot. Like every season they get a couple new girls. It's just the easiest show to cast because you're in Beverly Hills. There's affluent women everywhere. Right. And I feel like there's a lot of want to be like actresses out there too, that want to be in this game and want to be in entertainment and want to do that. So I feel like you guys have the easiest. Like when you have to cast, you find them in 3 seconds. You don't even know how hard it is to cast Jersey. It's next to impossible.
But the difference is with Beverly Hills is most people with like old money aren't going to want to do this show. I mean, because you get what I'm saying? So like, it's very like a lot of it is very nouveau riche. And those are the people that are going to be okay to do it. And that's why you end up getting
what you get. Yes. Yeah. I get it. Same here. Very much so. New Jersey we're 2 minutes away from New York City with like the big backyard and the big homes. You would be surprised how many men, it's the men. So it's like the husbands will say, we want these women, but the husbands are like, absolutely.
So yeah, why
not? Like,
well, you can see why, especially on Jersey, like hell.
Oh my God. They're all like running for the hills. We can't cast anybody on this show. All the men are like, no, thank you. We like our lives. And like, we don't need everyone prying into our business. Like, forget it. The men run a lot of them, but it's so funny because we also have the most involved men as well. But it's right. Like Joe and I came into the game. I was younger. I was 29. I was 30 years old. So it's like it's true. So casting is a whole nother thing. So you met Kyle on the show because you two are extremely close friends. I feel like you definitely are girlfriends. Morning. Yeah. Yes. Like I can tell that you guys are girlfriends outside of that show, that you have a true friendship. Did you meet on the show?
We met. So the only people I met prior to going on our first housewife trip was Dorit. They had her show up to like a Mommy and Me thing that I had at the house. I don't even remember if they aired it. Okay. And then I went to drinks with Lisa Vanderpump and Dorit. And then the next day I went on the jet with everybody to Las Vegas and met everybody. And that's when I met Kyle. And that's when I met, Erica and Renna and who else was even on that season? Oh, Camille was a friend of that season.
So you just formed like a natural friendship with Kyle. Like you guys just clicked and you have like your husbands get along great, right? You guys just have like a real friendship.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately it just felt, it took a couple weeks or whatever, but immediately she knew she's so funny. Like you could see it so much on Girls Trip where sometimes you won't get to see it in
funny.
Beverly Hills.
I was her roommate for a week straight. We shared a bathroom. We took showers together. She was like, I was naked. We would throw soap at each other. Like her and I really had, and I was like, couldn't believe how funny she was.
Because they don't fully show that to extent. Like they'll show funny confessionals on Beverly Hills, but like she is hilarious. And for me, a good friendship, and I'm sure you can even say this about her from the smaller time that you spent, it feels effortless with her.
It is. She's just easy. She laughs. I relate to her. I always have from the beginning when I got on this show. We always just clicked when we would meet at Bravo events or whatever it was at the time, the upfront. instantly, Kyle and I always had said we'd met in Vegas before. We've done, I met Lady Gaga with her once. We've always had, she's just easy to me. I agree. And I think she's so funny. And I think sometimes the so-and-so like normal people on the shows, for lack of a better word, right. Please don't crucify me, listeners. I, for lack of a better word, like the ones that don't come out with this so crazy, like a Kyle, for instance, like someone like you, like someone like me, the ones who kind of like hold it down in a different way on the show and are the other side of the show. Sometimes we get a little slack for not like doing the crazy or not throwing the wine in someone's face or not saying the most ridiculous thing that you've ever heard. And I always struggle. Like, I always think that's unfair. That's the one thing about Housewives where you get, they take their hat off to you and you get very praised. The more, the worse you act, and the crazier things you say.
But I think what people forget, not only in every friend group do you have all different types of people, but for the people that may be more like you or like me in that same setting, is what people don't understand about when they're watching the show is there has to be someone that's moving storyline. It is a necessity of it. Nobody's going to sit there and talk about the weather, and they're not going to air it, and nobody cares what your favorite television show is, and no one cares. So
agreed.
Even if you in the moment don't think that Melissa is doing something or not sure that I'm doing something, everybody knows it's natural, it's real, but people know their jobs. I personally think, even though, yes, it is authentic. I know if I was sitting at a dinner and we're hour 3 in and we're all looking at our text messages, knowing that something needs to happen. Like, they're not going to tell us what to do, but they're going to be like, someone has to bring up that so-and-so said to so-and-so and blah.
Or what you read online yesterday. Like someone needs to mention that this article just came out. I mean, of course. And I think the fans are hip to that at this point anyway. They obviously know, but I sometimes think they miss out on understanding that it is an ensemble. And if everyone acted the same way, that wouldn't be a show either. So we need a little bit of every personality, so to speak. And everyone does have a role on the show with what they contribute.
Do you want to thrive outside the 9 to 5? Then Mom's Exit Interview Podcast is for you. In each episode, you'll hear from inspirational everyday moms taking control. Entrepreneurs, stay-at-home moms with side hustles, consultants, and more. Plus experts with actionable tips like Rebecca Minkoff and Gretchen Rubin. I'm Kim Rittberg, former Us Weekly and Netflix executive and mom of 2. I've got the best boss now, me, and I've never been happier. Whether you're in transition or already made a change, let's create a more flexible and fulfilling life together. Listen to and follow Mom's Exit Interview on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now you're doing a podcast, right, with Tamra, who was also, her and I spoke on my podcast, and she told me like it was very rough for her in the beginning, and she was very depressed. She told me she unfollowed me, which I had no idea, because
she didn't even tell me that.
Well, she didn't just unfollow me. She unfollowed every housewife, basically. She unfollowed Bravo. She unfollowed anything. She didn't even want to see it for a while. And I'm like, which I can understand her doing that more than you. She's been like, this has been her life
12
for
years. Like,
yes, a very, very long time. And it almost becomes who you are after 12 years. You don't know, like you were doing other things, right? You're working with other things. You're working with mental health and different things in life. So I was speaking to her about it, and it really took a toll on her for a while. And then she just came back around again and decided that she wanted to open herself back up, and that she wanted to see what the housewives were doing, and she wanted to be filled in, which I thought was so interesting, because I don't even think about this the day that I get fired or the day that I'm gone. My husband does, because he'll be the one. He always says, like, are you going to fall apart if that happens? Like, I don't want to deal with you if you're going to fall apart. Like, are you fully prepared that if you're not on this show, like in 6 months, like, are you going to be like a walking mess? Are you going to be crying every day? Are you going to be depressed? Are you going to be sad? Like, he always wants to make sure that there's like, that's not going to be the end all for me and my like happiness, I
think the biggest thing is that you have you have friendships outside of the show. You have,
yes. Yeah.
And you have a business, you have all of those things. But I think, for Tam, especially, it was so many years. I mean, I remember having dinner with her before I even reached out to her to do the podcast with me. And you could just still, it was fresh for both of us. It was like at the beginning, like we both just were like, and our husbands both looked at us and they were like, we need you two to stop. We need a new topic. We're not talking about this anymore. And then it was like another year before I refused even on my own podcast to talk about housewives, even after my contract was over. Like, I was like, I don't want to.
Right.
Like, because it makes you feel a certain way. But then once you kind of get over it, now I'm like, well, why not? Why not get paid to talk about something that
it was an experience in life. It's something that's a major thing that Housewives is a huge, pop culture phenomenon it really is. Yeah. So you were a part of that for 3 years of your life. It is an experience that you want to talk about. And
I'm glad that Tamara came on to do it with me. Like, truthfully, it would not have been the same without Tamara. Like, when iHeart asked me, they said, we really want you to start talking about housewives again. Will you please? And I was like, only if I can have a co-host. And they gave me all these names and I was like, no. I'll do it with Tamara. And they were like, I don't think so. I'm like, well, what if I reach out to her myself? And they were like, okay. And honestly, like, she just had to say, is it going to be hard for me? She was like, is it going to be hard to watch the shows? I'm like, not if you know you're doing it for a job.
Right.
Like, I'm like, the only way I can compare it to is I don't know. I'm trying to think of something we all promote, a product we all love. Let's say it's Bondi Boost, hair blow dry thing,
right.
We all like it. We all use it, but still filming those ads are annoying. Like, of
course.
But at the end of the day, it's a product that we like. You're going to get money at the end of it. Think of it like that.
Right. So you looked at it like, no, essentially I'm giving you a job offer here as well.
I'm giving you a job offer to watch a television show that you know a lot on, and let's go. And let's do it. Let's do it right.
So do you guys talk about other subjects on your podcast as well? Or is it all housewives?
It's all housewife. To be honest, we don't have the option to. Like, we have our bosses and they're like, this is what.
And they're like, listen, this works, girls.
This works. So we talk about all the different franchises. We also bring on guests, as you know, because you were one. And then we will recap what's going on with us, but that's it. Like, we're not talking about selling like any other shows. Like, they're not interested.
Then nobody wants to hear it. They want to hear you guys with your experience as housewives, like
talking about Dubai, New Jersey. You guys keep us busy. We end up filming 2 to 3 podcasts a week because there's so many shows. There's
just so many shows to talk about. What have you, now you guys are really 2 women. Tamara is so known for speaking her mind. She always has been. What have you ever spilled any tea on your podcast where you're like, you've gotten yourself into like a little hot water, or you're like, wow, we went too far here?
Well, we were like panicked going into the MTV Awards when we saw that Teresa was in front of us.
I know this. Okay. Because Tamara comes up to me. Well, before you guys even saw her doing the press, I know that you didn't speak to her there. When you came up and we were all next, Beverly Hills table was right next to the Jersey, next to me and Teresa. Tamara kind of looked at me and walked over to me and she was like, I don't know if I'm to say hi or not say hi. I don't know what to do. And I didn't know the full thing. I guess you guys did a little recap on the show or her wedding or whatever it might be. And personally, I don't know what you said. You can fill me in if you'd like to, but I don't know. But
all I know is Teresa didn't follow me. This was a Tamara. I have issues with 90% of the others, but no, Teresa.
Okay.
No, essentially, what Tamara said, which wasn't even bad. She just said that Louis reminded her of one of the exes on the show with all the way he does his like affirmation, like.
Vicky's ex.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So she said something like that, but then it was like clickbait. It wasn't even anything bad. And then seriously, since then, she has been obsessing over the fact that Teresa unfollowed her. Like, she talks about it in the podcast. She's like, I wasn't even saying anything bad. Like, I could see my husband doing these types of things. Like, I'm not, whatever. So when we walked in, I was like, oh, hell. And Tamara and I have different personality types. Like, there was one person I was worried about seeing there. And
who were you worried about seeing?
I was a little bit worried about seeing Bethany.
Really? Why? Have you said stuff about her?
Well, I just said on our podcast that, because sometimes Bethany can have a little bit of an enlarged head when it comes to what Housewives did for her. And like, the way her speech at MTV Awards was very different than I've heard her talk about housewives.
Agreed. I thought she was being extremely appreciative to the platform that Bravo gave her.
Right, which is the first I've ever heard that. So I said, I hope her head doesn't get too big, because most of us know that award was supposed to go to Andy and he didn't fly in because.
Wait, was it? I did not know this.
Yes. And he didn't fly in.
Wait. Andy was supposed to receive that award.
Correct.
And he didn't fly in because of the baby.
Because it's his birthday, the day of the MTV Awards.
Right.
So I had just said that on the podcast.
Wait, I did not know this. And I don't know that my listeners knew this either. I did not know this.
Either way, Tam walks right up to where they groom you right at the beginning and give you whatever.
Yes.
Bethany's in there and Tam walks right over and she's like, hi. And I just I don't do that. If I say something, unless it's something light, I knew that would be something that she's probably ultimately not going to like.
So you already had went out and said she's not supposed to get this award?
Correct. And I knew our episode was airing that day. So I did not go over and kiss the ring. I just waved to her. I was
you were I'm not even going to walk over there and try to fake it right now. Because
I said to her daughter nicely, you look beautiful. You're getting so grown up. But that was it. I was not.
Got it.
I can't do that. I just don't have it in me. Granted, Tamara didn't say it about her. I did. So she's able to do that. But Tam's like, you didn't come over. I was like, of course I didn't.
You're like, do you know what I just said about her today? So do you know that she heard it? Do you know that
I don't know. I have no idea because I haven't seen it anywhere. And I think she's very smart. So I think she knows that if she doesn't talk about it, most likely it'll go away.
It goes away. And, that's kind of the housewives way. If you don't speak about it, it'll kind of fizzle off. If you make a big thing about it, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know that anyone of the higher ups is confirming that, or Andy Cohen is going to ever confirm
that.
No
one will. And that's fine. And that's allegedly, rumor has it, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But I think the difference between Bethany and a lot of the other housewives that we've, said things that, in jest about on the podcast is she takes herself very seriously. And she also has very strong opinions about other women. I remember when I was on Housewives, she would say things about me and I would just have to be like, it's fine. That's an OG. It is.
That's an OG. You just listen to what Bethany says. And that's she does. She honestly gives her opinion, I would say, on all of the shows and what she feels about everything, even Kim Kardashian. She's not shy. And I think that's why she's become who she is and why she's done talk shows and why she's tried so many different outlets, so to speak. I know there was a time when her and my sister-in-law actually, she would say things about my sister-in-law as well. And then somehow they ended up mending the fences. I don't know how, but
I don't have a problem with her. I was just simply saying let's keep the head in check. This is the rumor. It is what it is. But between that and then Tam, I mended fences with Teresa. I think they're good.
Because Teresa's good that way. So she just walked right up to Teresa because Tamara came to me first because her and I like Tamara. We're friends. We've known each other forever. And we did a Fiber One commercial together. We've worked together. She came up to me, held my hand and she was like, is your sister-in-law going to go nuts on me? Basically Melissa, you got my back here. What's going to happen? Are you going to block us? And I'm like, wait, I was confused. I was what am I missing? I don't even know what I was missing. And then I found out later that I guess she had said that thing that, Louis is a love bomber or whatever. And he's very extra on TV with the loving and all of that. So, but Teresa was nice. So if you go up to her in that manner, she's usually just lets it go. And I think that's, I think that's what
Ramona had already stepped in it way worse than Tam.
Oh my God.
So police.
Could you believe that? Do you know, at first I was like, wait, was this really an accident or is Ramona feeling I need a little attention over here because of the show? But I think she truly did that on accident. She really did because she's posted her bank account before.
True. She's done, but it really could be either way. I honestly can't even speculate because I haven't met her that many times. Even at Andy's baby shower, she called me a different name of a different housewife every single time that I saw her.
She's known for that, right? She's known to not know who you are, where you came from, which show are you on, which girl are you again? That is Ramona.
You would think you would stay consistent throughout the night. Like just pick whatever housewife you've assumed I am and just go with it for the night. But no, it would be like flipping from one to the next to the next. And I was like, she even did a live and she was like, I'm here with Gina from.
No, she did not. Like, this is Ramona. And this is why she is TV gold most of the time as well. But yeah, this is Ramona for you. If I'm asking you this, I don't want to get you into any trouble, but is there one housewife who you will never, like, who you're never going to invite onto onto your podcast? Like, is there anyone that you're like, I have no desire to speak to them. They'll never be invited. And, you know, you have no desire.
I think I would probably have to say, it's hard. I feel like it would probably have to be Camille Grammer.
Okay.
Solely because she never had the backbone to say the things to your face. And then she would always say them behind your back. And then it was like, then she would play this new card. And when she was with me, like, I would have no idea things were happening. And her final season, I don't know if that was, maybe I had another season after this. I don't even know. I think it was her final season. As a friend of, she was a housewife and a friend of, she said something that I had done to her daughter, which was completely fabricated. And then the second that we were done filming, she's like sending me text messages. I know that didn't happen that way and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, we're being filmed, walked through the airport, and I'm with every single housewife. And I wave to your daughter in the food court and I say hi, and you are pulling me aside on camera and acting like I blew her off when you know I'm with the entire cast, the entire crew. We're all being filmed, and I waved and did the same exact thing as the other women. I know what you're trying to do, and then decide, text, and do the apology. That I don't like. If you want to be an asshole to me, be consistent.
Right. I'm down with you with that. Like, I can't do the fake. That's where I get, I don't fake it. And I don't, if we're going to be one way through text, or if we're going to be one way in person, on camera, off camera, we have to keep it consistent. Yes. And I feel like that's where you get along well with Kyle, because I feel like she's the same in that aspect.
If she's annoyed, you're going to know she's annoyed. Right. And then I said this to someone else asked me about it. And I think not this exact question, but I just said Camille, and then Camille years later, I mean, this was like probably in 2020, sends me a DM saying, just so you know, everything I ever said was because of Chris Cullen, the producer. And I'm like, you know how many times anybody can say that? Like,
oh, please. I had a girlfriend come on my show, film with Teresa. She was a girlfriend of mine that I filmed with her 3 days before. Okay. I filmed with her 3 days before. So it wasn't like I wasn't filming with her. I was trying to hide her or anything. I filmed with her. Come to find out, she wanted to be a housewife. So what does she do? She was a bridesmaid in my wedding. She went and sat down with my sister-in-law. And this is the very beginning when we were not getting along on the show at all. She sat and did a whole scene with her, like saying the most horrific things about me, like basically calling me every name in the book, calling me a cheater, saying I did like horrible things, everything completely untrue. And then texted me when it aired and said, oh, I just did that because they told me to. Like, I didn't mean to do that. I was like, don't eat. I was disgusted. I was completely disgusted. And I know no producers told her to do that. They do not listen. Do we get invited to all to the same party? Yes. Do they tell us what to say when we get there? No, we have our subjects, right, that we need to talk about, but you're not told to go say that your best friend did something like crazy the way that with this one. I won't even repeat what she said, because it's like, it was
so gross.
Yes. And I'm like,
that's how I felt
how
too.
low will you go to get a spot on national TV? Because that's the real question. You know, it's like, how low will you go? And the fact that I filmed with you, she's in a scene with me, maybe 3 episodes before that, just going to lunch as my girlfriend. Yeah. So she must have really liked that lunch scene, that she was like, oh, I need to get in on this. Next, I'm going to go to lunch with Teresa, and I'm going to lie about Melissa. This was a bridesmaid in my wedding. So I
never liked the producer made me excuse. I think we all have our own, our own.
It's a cop out.
It's a cop out. And ultimately, yes, if your producers know you have a problem with somebody, I have had them say, are you going to talk to them directly or does one of the other women? Like, but just asking like as a friend.
That's
like,
exactly what they do. They're like, well, are you going to address this? And most of the time, if they're saying, are you going to address this? It's because they don't want you to address it off camera. Right. So they're basically saying like, if you're going to address this, do us a favor and make sure the cameras are there, which is pretty normal.
Because they're kind of like our therapists anyway. You're always talking to them. Like, you can't help it. You're like, I'm so pissed about blah, 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 and then.
Yes, 100%.
But nobody's forcing you to do anything ever. I can't ever say in all of my bad decisions, I can't blame Chris Cullen for them.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. All right, Teddi, I do this really fun segment. It's called Grilled with Gorga. Okay. So we are going to play that right now. It's like some rapid fire questions. Just give me your quick answers. And it's going to be fun. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
Your first celebrity crush.
Oh my gosh. My first celebrity crush. Oh, Andrew Keegan.
Who is that? If you guys could see her face, she's making right now. Are you embarrassed of that answer?
Or like Jonathan Taylor Thomas, like you put them, like they were in Teen Bop and you like took them out and like posted them on your wall. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm going to have to Google Andrew Keegan.
90s heartthrobs. 90s heartthrobs.
90s heartthrobs.
Your favorite 80s song?
I love Madonna. I love Cyndi Lauper. I love any song you can dance and have fun to.
Which is all 80s music, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
What is your biggest regret?
My biggest regret was being so hard on myself, like until I got into my 30s, like beyond hard on myself from like 18 to 30. Just, I wish I could have just taken a breath and been like, you're all right. You don't have to be perfect. Fair.
Best decision you've ever made?
To have my kids. To have my kids, to meet my stepdaughter. Like, I never knew I wanted kids. And then when I met my husband and then I met Isabella, like I fell in love with her. And so to go through that journey, no matter how hard it was.
What is your pet peeve?
Well, one is being late. I really don't like when people are late. It makes me bananas, like just that. I don't like talking on the phone.
Who does?
I don't like when
there's really no reason for it. You can also push that little button and send a text message with your own voice. I mean, there's really no reason for conversation anymore.
It's one thing if you're in the car and you're driving and you want to have a conversation, but like my dad, for example, will text me, call me real quick. Or like, hey, I just called you. I'm like, you're giving me anxiety. What?
I know. Or when someone just texts and says, call me. It's like, is there a problem? Like, you think instantly.
Do you have a second? No. Right. Now I need to call you this second. What?
Crazy. Worst date you've ever had?
Worst date I have. Okay. So this was like with like a B celeb type guy back when that was my thing when I first moved to LA. Like I had crushes on all these guys and we'd all go to this club, Joseph's. So this was a repeat offender. I don't even know if you call it dates, but we'd all go to clubs together. And afterwards we ended up at like some other, in the know type guy's house. And a girl who is now famous and beautiful, by the way, walks in, and this guy looks at me and he's like, I'm out, and left with her.
Shut up. You have to tell me who the girl is. We're not saying anything negative about her.
Okay. Who? The girl is Jenna Dewan. I'm not going to say who the guy is.
Oh my God. She must have started to dance. That's what happened.
She walked in for 10 seconds and he honestly like gave me this look like
peace out.
That was the end of that one. I think he probably invited us both there. And then once she showed up, he was like, done.
He was like, that's my route. Oh my God. Well, at least she was like a beauty and a cutie.
I mean, amazing. I mean, we're talking like late 90s, guys. This is a long time ago. No one was married. We're all good.
Right. Okay. So being the daughter of John Mellencamp, I mean, what was your first concert?
I'm assuming it was probably his. Like he always did Farm Aid ever since, the early 80s, which is he always had done it with like a bunch of different people. So it'd be like Dave Matthews, my dad, I'm going to miss people and then I'm going to offend them. But we would go to Farm Aid every single year and like sit on the speakers and think we were super, super cool.
Okay, tell us something about you that would surprise us.
Something about me that would surprise.
What do we not know about you? I know we know so much.
I feel like I'm such an open book. I think I guess the most surprising thing is on the show, if you watch me on the show, it seems like I take everything really seriously, but like I couldn't enjoy laughing and having fun more. That is me to my core. I've had the same friends since the third grade. I really am a loyal, fun person, and I wish we got to see that a little bit more. But I was so controlling in that setting that, it is what it is.
What is your favorite late night snack? When you're watching your shows at night, what are you eating?
Popcorn.
Always? It's always a popcorn thing.
Well, it depends. Is there drinking involved or no drinking?
No, you're just watching TV.
Like just home living my best life.
Yes.
It's always like Skinny Pop. I love Skinny Pop and I like hot water with lemon, and it does the thing. What
was your first job?
My first job was I worked at a pizza restaurant, making pizzas and checking people out.
Oh my God. I love it. I did too, by the way. I worked on the boardwalk. My first job was serving pizza. So there we go. What is your favorite show to binge watch right now? Like, what are you watching if you're watching anything?
So this isn't necessarily a show, but I was so hooked on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Like, I am a crime or law junkie. Like I need to investigate, so anything like that. So now it's like The Staircase or Mom Talk. Like I go down these deep, dark rabbit holes. Like I can't help myself.
Got it. Okay. So I always end with this question, which is, if it's all about you today, how does Teddi treat herself? What do you do to treat yourself if it's all about you?
If it's all about me, I would say I just would want to be lazy bones. Like I would honestly, like if I could have a day to myself, like in a hotel watching shows, like taking baths, maybe getting a massage, like going on a little hike, like
just chilling. You want to
chill. That's one. Or all about me. Also, I love to do a fun activity or vacation with my kids and my husband.
Love it. Listen, Teddi, thank you so much for doing this and taking the time to do this today. You're so much fun. You're so real. I've liked you. You and I also, I'll say this, we've liked each other from day one. From the beginning. I've always liked you. You're one of the realest. I truly feel that. I love listening to your podcast also. So everyone out there, definitely check out Two Teas in a Pod with Tamra Judge. They are so much fun on it. And if you love Housewives, then you definitely want to listen to what they have to say. Thank you. And I love that I didn't wear the matching dress so that we didn't look like two twins.
I love it too, because then it would have said who wore it better and then more controversial.
Oh my God. It would have been, forget it. I gasped for air when I saw you on that carpet. I was like, oh, and that is not like, that's a very standout dress.
Well, there was a lot of bright colors on the carpet. I will say
it was all color. Well, you know what? It's summer and it's MTV. That's what came to mind.
We stand by our decisions.
Exactly. So, okay. Right. Thank you so much. So good talking to you.
Okay.
Bye.
Dad deserves double the thanks this year, so this Father's Day, give him the power tool system that has everything for every job. The Ryobi One Plus tool system now on special buy. Over 260 Ryobi tools powered by one interchangeable 18-volt battery. And for a limited time, when you make a qualifying Ryobi purchase, you get one select tool or battery free. Feels like Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offer valid through July 31st, 2022. Valid at participating stores and online. Limit 1 per transaction.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe